Dear student, this is the third session on antimicrobial agent general consideration. To start with what we have discussed in the first session we discussed three different terms: chemotherapy, antimicrobial agent, and antibiotic agent. To explain all of these three terms, a new image has been introduced that shows all of the three agents: chemotherapy, antimicrobial, and antibiotic. You can see in this diagram, chemotherapeutic agent or chemotherapy is the largest group. Antibiotic is the smallest group, while antimicrobial is the group intermediate in size placed between chemotherapy and antibiotic. What is the difference between the three terms? Antibiotic, these are the substance that kill microorganism and obtain from microorganism. Like penicillin G, it is obtained from fungus, that is Penicillium chrysogenum, and it kills bacteria, mainly gram positive bacteria. On the other hand, antimicrobial agent includes antibiotic. You can see in this diagram, antimicrobial agent include antibiotic, but there are some also other agent which are not antibiotic but they are antimicrobial agent. For example, amoxicillin, ticarcillin. These are synthetic derivatives, synthetic product, because they are not obtained from microorganisms, so you cannot label them antibiotic. But they kill microorganism, that's why they are antimicrobial agent. So amoxicillin, ampicillin, piperacillin, these are antimicrobial agent, but they are not antibiotic. Why they are not antibiotic? Because they are not obtained from natural source. They are not obtained from microorganisms. But they kill microorganism, that's why they are antimicrobial agent. Chemotherapeutic agent include antimicrobial agent as well as anti-neoplastic agent. So some of the chemotherapeutic agent are antimicrobial and rest are anti-neoplastic agent because they act upon cancerous cell, they act upon tumorous cell. So all of these three groups, chemotherapeutic agent is the largest group while antibiotic is the smallest group. We have discussed in the first session definitions and classification of antimicrobial agent. In the second session we discussed resistance, and in this session we will discuss how will you select a antimicrobial agent to treat infection. And we will also discuss in this session combined use of antimicrobial agent. So start with choice of antimicrobial agent. So when there is a infection and you have established the need of using a systemic antimicrobial agent in a patient, after assessing this infection will not be, this is not self limiting, it will require some intervention, and local measures like drainage of pus, antiseptic will not be sufficient. Then only you have to zero down, you have to come to a conclusion that you will need a systemic antimicrobial agent. Then we have a large variety, a big number of antimicrobial agent available nowadays in the market. Which antimicrobial agent should be given to treat that infection? So you have to decide your choice, which antimicrobial agent you have to give in this patient. This choice will be affected by various factors, various parameters, and these factors can be grouped broadly in three. First is patient related factors. Which patient will receive which antimicrobial? So the patient factor will be responsible. It is important factor. Second, microbe factor. Which microorganism which bacteria, which virus, which fungi has caused this infection, it will decide the choice of antimicrobial agent. And which antimicrobial and to treat, suppose the bacteria A has caused this infection, and to kill this bacteria A or to inhibit the growth of bacteria a big number of antimicrobial agents are effective. So out of these antimicrobial agents, you will give which antimicrobial agent. It will also decide the choice of antimicrobial agent. So there are three factors which will decide the choice of antimicrobial agent. First, we will discuss patient related factors. First will be the age factor. The age of the patient will decide the choice of antimicrobial agent, because age will affect pharmacokinetic of antimicrobial agent, and there are certain antimicrobial agent which produce age related effect. There is one antimicrobial agent called as sulfonamides. What does the sulfonamide do? Sulfonamide is a group of antimicrobial agent which include different type of agent like sulfacetamide, sulfamethoxazole, mefenide, and others. What does it do? It enters in brain and it sorry sulfonamide displaces bilirubin from protein binding site, and when the bilirubin is displaced from the protein binding site, it will cross blood brain barrier and and this bilirubin will cause kernicterus in neonate because their blood brain barrier is more permeable. So sulfonamide cannot be given safely in neonate. Similarly, chloramphenicol is a broad spectrum antibiotic, broad spectrum antimicrobial agent which should not be given in newborn because higher dose of chloramphenicol cause gray baby syndrome in neonate. Because in newborn, conjugation and excision of chloramphenicol antimicrobial agent is insufficient. We will discuss gray baby syndrome and this kernicterus in the respective chapters in detail. So sulfonamide group of antibiotic and chloramphenicol cannot be given safely in newborn. So this is a age factor which affect our choice of antimicrobial agent. Aminoglycoside, it's very toxic antimicrobial agent. It causes ototoxicity, nephrotoxicity, and these toxic effect, ototoxicity, nephrotoxicity, are more prominent in elderly patient because their T half, their duration of action is prolonged, and they are more prone to develop eighth nerve toxicity. Tetracycline is a group of, it is also a broad spectrum antimicrobial agent. This deposit in the developing teeth and bone, and which are discolored because of tetracycline and weak dams. But that's why they are contraindicated below the age of 6 years. So age is the first factor. We have discussed the various antimicrobials group which should not be given in neonate, others cannot be given in elderly patient. Second factor that is related to patient is renal and hepatic factor. As we have discussed in the pharmacokinetic already, like the other drugs, antimicrobial agents are eliminated through kidney or through, and they are metabolized in liver. So the drugs which are mainly metabolized in liver, their dose should be reduced in liver diseases. The drug which are excreted mainly by kidney, their dose should be reduced in renal diseases. Some of the antimicrobial agent which causes nephrotoxicity, at the same time they are excreted out of the body through kidney. These doses should be reduced in renal failure, like aminoglycoside group of antimicrobial agent. Aminoglycoside group of antimicrobial agent causes nephrotoxicity. The typical example of aminoglycoside is streptomycin that is used in treatment of tuberculosis. Similarly, one antibiotic is amphotericin B. It is a antifungal drug which is also nephrotoxic drug. The dose of amphotericin B should be reduced in renal failure. Vancomycin that is used in treatment of MRSA, methicillin resistant Staphylococcus aureus. It is also nephrotoxic drug. The dose of vancomycin C should be reduced in renal failure. On the same line, few of the antimicrobial should be avoided in liver disease like pyrazinamide. Pyrazinamide is a drug used in treatment of tuberculosis, which should be avoided in liver disease. It is a highly hepatotoxic drug. Tetracycline group of antibiotics should be avoided in liver disease. So these are the drugs which should be avoided in renal and hepatic functions. Third factor you have to take care of choosing antimicrobial agent is drug allergy. Beta lactam group of antibiotic are very notorious to cause drug allergy, hypersensitivity. So the patient who are having allergy to beta lactam should be avoided these kind of antibiotic. Beta lactam group of antibiotic consist of penicillin, cephalosporins, carbapenem group and monobactam. Fourth is impaired host defense. Immunity of a patient plays a crucial role in overcoming an infection. The person who has a good immunity, if he has developed a infection, this infection will be treated at a faster rate as compared to the person who has a weak immunity. Pyogenic infection which occur readily in neutropenic patient, while if the cell mediated immunity is impaired, infection by low grade pathogen and intracellular organisms abound. So if an individual with normal host defense, a bacteriostatic antimicrobial agent will be sufficient, while intensive therapy with Sidal agent will be essential with those with impaired host defense. So if a person with a good immunity can be treated effectively with a bacteriostatic drug, but you will require bactericidal drug if the patient has poor immunity. So host defense is also an important factor. Pregnancy. You have to take care of a pregnancy status of a female while prescribing antimicrobial agent. All antimicrobial agents should be avoided in the pregnant woman because of the risk to the fetus. But few of the antimicrobial agents can be claimed be comparatively safer in pregnancy. These are penicillins, many cephalosporins and erythromycin. While many of the antimicrobial agents are teratogenic or hazardous to fetus, we will discuss later on in the respective chapters. Local factors are also important. Suppose there is a presence of pus and secretion and you need to treat this pus. Presence of pus and secretion decrease the efficacy of most antimicrobial agents, especially sulfonamide and aminoglycoside. Because the pus contain PABA, para-aminobenzoic acid, and PABA decreases the efficacy of sulfonamide. Similarly, presence of pus also reduces efficacy of aminoglycoside of group. Drainage, so in that condition you can drain pus, you can drain abscess So, drainage of abscess or pus reduce the population of the causative bacteria. They suppress anaerobe by exposure to oxygen and improve diffusion of the antibiotic into the abscess. Second local factor is presence of necrotic material or foreign body. When you catheterize a patient for urinary drainage, when you implant a patient a prosthetic, it may eradicate of infection practically impossible because bacteria that adhere to the foreign surface, they create a biofilm around them and they grow very slowly. So antibiotic cannot reach that bacteria because bacteria has made a biofilm around them. So antibiotic is less vulnerable. Antibiotic cannot reach bacteria, so bacteria is less vulnerable to the antibiotic. Genetic factor is also important. Primaquine, sulfonamide, and fluoroquinolone, they carry the risk of producing hemolysis in G6PD deficient patient. So these are the 7 factors, including age factor, allergy, renal and hepatic factors, genetic factors, pregnancy status, local factors. These are the patient-related factors which affect our choice regarding antimicrobial agent. Now the second group is organism-related consideration. Successful chemotherapy must be rational and demands a diagnosis. It must be rational and demands a diagnosis. If the infection is caused by because of Staphylococcus aureus and not because of other organism, so we should give a antibiotic, we should give a antimicrobial agent which cover only Staphylococcus aureus. Because if you give the antibiotic which also act upon other bacteria apart from Staphylococcus aureus, other bacteria unnecessarily will be disturbed and they will increase the chance of antimicrobial resistance and supra infection. So successful chemotherapy demands a diagnosis. So how will you come to the point that the particular infection will be is caused by only the Staphylococcus aureus only, and to treat this Staphylococcus aureus, a antibiotic A is effective only. It will be done by the culture, bacteria culture. In bacteria culture, you will take the swab, you will take the sample from the patient, and different antibiotics are given in vitro. The antibiotic from the bacteria culture, you will come to the conclusion that which antibiotic should be given to the patient. So how will you come to the conclusion? Clinical diagnosis itself direct choice of the antimicrobial agent. Suppose a patient has developed a genital lesion. You suspect the patient has syphilis, and with the different antigen antibody test, you come to the conclusion the patient has developed syphilis only and not the other disease. And with the previous knowledge, you know very well syphilis is caused by Treponema pallidum. So, and with the previous knowledge, you will give the antimicrobial agent which is effective against Treponema pallidum, that is penicillin group of antibiotic. So in this case, you have not isolated the bacteria, you have not isolated Treponema pallidum, you have made the clinical diagnosis of syphilis, and syphilis is caused by Treponema pallidum, and against the Treponema pallidum penicillin group of antibiotics are effective. This is the clinical diagnosis. It is directing you to choose the antimicrobial agent. Similarly, you come to the conclusion the patient has developed chancroid, and chancroid is caused by a different antibiotic, a different bacteria, and against this bacteria you will give the effective antimicrobial agent. In some condition, what happens? The patient suffers otitis media, acute otitis media. The ENT specialist come to the diagnosis the patient is suffering from acute otitis media. He see the infection through otoscopy, and through otoscopy the ENT specialist come to the conclusion the patient is suffering from acute otitis media. In this case also we are not taking the sample for culture. We are not taking the sample, we are not conducting antibiotic sensitivity pattern, but we have made the clinical diagnosis the patient is suffering from acute otitis media. And for acute, and which are the causative bacteria for acute otitis media, we already know. These are mainly few gram positive bacteria, and against these gram positive bacteria which antimicrobial agent will be effective we already know. So we will give that antibiotic only, so which can be made from the clinical feature and local experience about the type of organism and its sensitivity. Okay, but what happens when we don't know which bacteria is causing that infection? For example, the patient has developed meningitis or bronchopneumonia or osteomyelitis. Their etiology is very diverse. Meningitis is caused by a good number of bacteria of different origins. Gram positive infection, gram negative bacteria also cause meningitis. Anaerobe also cause. Similarly, pneumonia is also caused by gram positive bacteria, gram negative anaerobic infection. In those situations, you don't know etiology, you don't know etiological agent. In that condition, you have to precise your bacteria and the antimicrobial agent effective against it. So choice to be made on bacteriological examination. If bacteriological service are not available, suppose the sample and antimicrobial sensitivity pattern testing is not available, what will you do? You give empirical therapy. Empirical therapy is the broad spectrum antimicrobial agent which cover all the potential pathogens. It is started with broad spectrum drug like fluoroquinolone, tetracycline or combinations, so that you can target all the possible pathogens. So therapy is modified on the basis of clinical response. What will you do? Bacteriological services are available, but the infection is very severe and you cannot wait for the result of bacteriological examination. What will you do? The specimen for bacteriological examination should be collected and it should be sent to the microbiological lab, but you will not wait for the result of this. You will start the empirical therapy provisionally, and on the basis of result of microbiological testing, you will modify your treatment. But when the bacteriological services are available but infection is not severe, you can wait for the result of antibiotic sensitivity pattern like urinary tract infection. These are the organism factor or microbe factor. Now we will discuss the drug factor. Spectrum of activity. When you know the exact etiological agent, which bacteria is responsible to cause this infection, you will give narrow spectrum of disease. For example, the patient has suffered from syphilis and this infection is caused by Treponema pallidum, which is a gram-positive bacteria, and penicillin G and procaine penicillin, benzathine penicillin are effective against Treponema pallidum, you will give this narrow spectrum drug. But for like a severe infection, mixed infection, subacute bacterial endocarditis, you will give broad spectrum drug to cover all the potential pathogen, and this is called empirical therapy when you don't know the exact etiological agent. Type of activity: bacteriostatic agent or bactericidal agent. A drug, a bacteriostatic drug may be effective in a patient with good immunity, but you have to give bactericidal drug in a patient with impaired immunity. Okay. Sensitivity of the organism. It is assessed on the basis of MIC, minimum inhibitory concentration. To inhibit the growth of the bacteria, how much concentration of antibiotic is needed? It is called as minimum inhibitory concentration. To inhibit the growth of bacteria, how much concentration of antibiotic is needed? It is called as MIC value. Okay. Relative toxicity. Comparatively less toxic antibiotics are preferred, like beta lactam or is preferred over aminoglycoside, or erythromycin is preferred over clindamycin. Pharmacokinetic profile. For optimum action, the antibiotic has to be present at the site of infection in sufficient concentration for a adequate length of time. Most antibiotics are given at 2 to 4 half-life interval. In that time, they attain therapeutic concentration only intermittently. There are two terms, very important term and very frequently asked in university exam: CDK and TDK, concentration dependent killing and time dependent killing. Few of the antimicrobial shows concentration dependent killing, like fluoroquinolone and aminoglycoside. Antimicrobial action of fluoroquinolones and aminoglycoside is concentration dependent killing. Their antimicrobial action depends how much their concentration is above than MIC value. So their antimicrobial action depends on the ratio of peak concentration of antimicrobial to their MIC value. It doesn't have any relation to time. So their concentration should be high than MIC value. On the other hand, in time dependent killing, concentration should be high enough for a majority of the time. So antimicrobial action is shown by beta lactam group of antibiotic, which include penicillin. So antimicrobial action of depends on the length of time the concentration remains above the MIC value. So the daily dose is divided into multiple doses in antibiotic cases, which shows time dependent killing, while division of daily dose is not important for drug which shows concentration dependent killing, because here the time is not a factor to decide antimicrobial efficacy. Route of administration is also important. Some of the antibiotic can be given through only by parenteral route, like penicillin G, aminoglycoside, tecarcillin, many cephalosporin and vancomycin. They can be given only through injection route. So for less severe infection, oral antibiotic is preferable, but for serious infection like meningitis, spreading cellulitis, a parenteral antibiotic would be more reliable, because their absorption and their targeted delivery is more reliable. Evidence of clinical efficacy. Reliable clinical trial data, if it is available, is the final guide for choice of the antibiotic. Cost is definitely a factor to choose the antimicrobial agent. So this is all about the choice of antimicrobial agent, combined use of antimicrobials. Why you will antimicrobe combine? This should be done only with a specific purpose and not blindly in the hope that if one is good, two should be better and three should cure almost any infection. So you should have a very specific purpose in your mind when you are combining one antimicrobial to another one. The objective of using antimicrobial combination are: first one is to achieve synergism. To achieve synergism. For example, sulfonamide group of antimicrobial is bacteriostatic drug. Other antimicrobial agent, that is trimethoprim, it is also bacteriostatic. So both of the antimicrobial are bacteriostatic drug, but when they are combined, their action is bactericidal drug. So individually both of the antimicrobial have static action, but in combination they are cidal action. So their synergism is seen. So in that condition, the two antimicrobials are combined. Second is to prevent emergence of resistance. For example, in treatment of tuberculosis, two or more than two antimicrobial drugs are used, and this tubercle bacilli is very notorious to show resistance against antimicrobial agent. In the treatment of antimicrobial, in the treatment of tuberculosis, we are using one antimicrobial, namely isoniazid, and other antimicrobial using rifampicin. And this tubercle bacilli is known to cause resistance against isoniazid and rifampicin. But what happens if a person is carrying 1 million tubercle bacilli in the body, and suppose one bacteria out of 1 million, 1 million means 10 lakh, one bacteria out of 10 lakh bacteria is resistant to isoniazid, that will be killed by rifampicin, because the patient is taking isoniazid and rifampicin, both of the drug. So the bacteria which is resistant to isoniazid will be killed by rifampicin, and the bacteria which is resistant to rifampicin will be killed by isoniazid. So all of the bacteria will be killed if you are treating tuberculosis with more than one drug. So by using more than one drug, by combining antimicrobial agent, you can prevent the emergence of resistance. So the principle of using two or more antimicrobial together is valid primarily for chronic infections like tuberculosis, leprosy, HIV, and now it is also adopted for H. pylori, malaria. In these diseases, multi-drug therapy is given. This principle is not applicable in most acute and short-lived infection because the chances of resistance is very less in these infections. Third reason to give antimicrobial combination is to broaden the spectrum of antimicrobial action. Treatment of mixed infection. Some of the infection like brain abscess, bronchiectasis, peritonitis, urinary tract infection, diabetic foot infection, bad sore, gynecological infection, they are mostly mixed infection. They are caused by gram-positive bacteria, gram-negative bacteria, anaerobic infection. So to target different type of bacteria, you have to give different type of antimicrobial agent. Okay. So in treatment of mixed infection, antimicrobial are given in combination. If the infection is severe and their diagnosis is not definitive, as we have discussed, because bacterial culture takes time to show its result. So the infection is severe and the results are awaited for bacterial culture and antibiotic sensitivity pattern. In that time, in empirical therapy you have to cover all the potential pathogen. Suppose a patient has developed meningitis, bronchopneumonia, and you have taken the sample of specimen from patient and have sent microbiology lab, but to take the result it will take time, and this is the severe infection and the patient may die because of that infection. So you will start a empirical therapy without waiting for the result of bacteriological sample. So in that empirical treatment you will give antimicrobial combination therapy, and when the result of the bacterial culture comes to you, you can then modify your treatment. Fourth reason is to enable reduction of the dose of one component and hence reduce the risk of adverse drug reaction. Like flucytosine is given in combination with amphotericin B, both are antifungal drug. These drugs are given in combination with Cryptococcus neoformis meningitis. As we have discussed, amphotericin B is a highly nephrotoxic drug. So the dose of the amphotericin B can be reduced if the flucytosine is given along with amphotericin B. So the chances of nephrotoxicity because of amphotericin B can be reduced if the flucytosine is given along with amphotericin B. So these are the four reasons why the antimicrobial combination therapy is given. But this combination is also not free from disadvantage. What are the disadvantages? Definitely there are advantages of antimicrobial combination, but in most of the condition, these combination are prescribed to a patient as a casual approach rather than rational outlook. So because of that, they increase incidence and variety of adverse effect. Toxicity of one agent may be enhanced by another. Suppose vancomycin is given along with tobramycin or gentamicin. Both drug causes, both are nephrotoxic drug. Nephrotoxicity of the one agent can be combined with the nephrotoxicity of the another agent. You are giving multiple of antimicrobial agents which increases the chances of supra-infection, which increases the chance of resistance, and the cost of therapy is also increased. So these are the disadvantages of antimicrobial combination. Thank you.